Let's be honest, most mobile games claim to have realistic physics, but then you hit a wall at full speed and your car bounces like a rubber toy from another dimension. Yeah, not exactly realism. But in 2026, some open-world mobile games are becoming terrifyingly advanced. Cars crash realistically, objects react naturally, weather affects movement, and entire worlds feel physically alive. Today, we're counting down top 10 open-world mobile games with insane physics, Android and iOS 2026, that push smartphones to their absolute limit. And trust me, the number one game on this list genuinely feels next generation. So grab your mobile, hit that like button, and let's get started. Number 10. Starting off at number 10, we have Sound of Horses. Developed by Vanilla Sky Productions, this is a story-driven horseback adventure where the horse is treated as a complex physical entity rather than just a skin. You'll feel the realistic momentum shift as you climb steep ridges, and your gallop adjustments are heavily tied to the terrain's friction. Mistreat a jump, and you'll watch your rider stumble realistically under gravity's unforgiving laws. It's beautiful, quiet, and deeply immersive. But what happens when we go from peaceful horse trots to swinging at terminal velocity off skyscrapers? To number 9. That brings us to number 9, Spider Fuser. In this high-energy sandbox, you play as a human spider fusion who live-casts his superhero stunts across Starfall City. The highlight here is the momentum-based web swinging. The game calculates your swing radius, acceleration, and gravity in real time. Release your web a split second too late, and you'll slam into the concrete with a bone-crushing ragdoll effect. By the way, is your phone already thermal throttling just listening to this? Put it on ice because we're just getting started. What's cooler than swinging? Stealing a supercar and wrapping it around a light pole. Number 8.
What if you could leave it all behind and start
At
over?
number 8, we have Gangstar Mirage City. Officially licensed by Gameloft and built by Level Infinite, this multiplayer action RPG is a massive step forward for the franchise's physics. Vehicles feature realistic suspension play, and the destruction physics are highly satisfying. Ram into a barrier, and your hood crumples, doors fly off, and the car's weight shifts dynamically depending on the damage. It makes every escape feel incredibly urgent because one bad turn could leave you stranded. But if you prefer your driving with the side of supernatural magic, you need to see this next one. Number 7. Coming in at number 7 is NTE Neverness to Everness. Developed by Hada Studio, this supernatural urban RPG combines chaotic city life with bizarre gravity-defying powers. The physics loop here is a wild double feature. On one hand, you have incredibly realistic street drifting through neon-lit streets. On the other, your Esper abilities let you manipulate gravity, pulling street objects and enemies into floating chaotic vortexes. The transition between rigid body car physics and floating debris is mesmerizing. But if you prefer raw rubber over anime powers, our next game is the ultimate challenge, to number 6. That leads us straight to number 6, the Drift King, Car X Street. If you care about authentic driving dynamics, this is your gold standard on mobile. Using proprietary CarX technology, the game simulates tire-to-asphalt friction, weight transfer during tight transitions, and suspension load with striking detail. Every single upgrade you install fundamentally changes how your car responds to gravity and momentum. If you slide too hard into a corner, you will lose traction and spin out. It's challenging, unforgiving, and highly satisfying. But let's leave the asphalt behind for a world where the environment is actively trying to crush you. Number 5. At number 5 is Crisis X. This massive post-apocalyptic survival sandbox takes physics into the wild. You aren't just fighting mutants, you're fighting the laws of nature. Cut down a tree and the log rolls realistically down slopes, crushing anything in its path. When you build your base, you have to account for structural gravity or watch your hard work collapse into a heap of splinters. Swimming across a river requires fighting the actual current velocity, turning a simple crossing into a struggle for survival. Speaking of surviving on a beach with absolutely nothing, Number 4. At number 4, we have Rust Mobile. Developed in partnership with Level Infinite and officially licensed by Facepunch, this is the ultimate test of survival. Physics play a massive role in base rating. You can't just blow up one wall and expect the rest of the fortress to float in midair. Demolishing key support pillars triggers a cascading structural collapse, burying your enemies and their precious loot under tons of debris. Combine that with realistic bullet drop and hilarious ragdoll deaths, and you get a chaotic, high-stakes environment where one wrong calculation costs you everything. Number 3. But what if the laws of physics themselves were corrupted? That is the terrifying premise of our number 3 pick, Once Human. Set in a post-apocalyptic world infected by an alien substance called Stardust, this multiplayer sandbox features some of the most bizarre spatial physics we've ever seen. You will encounter anomalies where gravity is entirely reversed, requiring you to navigate floating platforms. The enemy designs leverage soft body physics to create unsettling fluid movements that are genuinely creepy. It's a brilliant mix of classic survival building and mind-bending environmental mechanics. Number 2. At number 2 is One State RP, Roleplay Online. Imagine a living, breathing city where up to 500 real players occupy the same server. When you mix that many real people with a realistic collision engine, pure chaos is guaranteed. High-speed multi-car pileups look and feel incredibly impactful. The ragdoll physics on pedestrians and drivers ejected from vehicles add a layer of dark humor to the serious role-playing. Whether you're a cop or a criminal, the physical unpredictability makes every single encounter unique. But what happens when we trade sports cars for legendary martial arts? Number 1. Finally, taking our number 1 spot is Where Winds Meet. This epic open-world wuxia RPG is a masterclass in movement-based physics. Forget walking on the ground. Here, you're running up vertical cliffs, leaping across treetops, and gliding over water using ancient martial arts. The game's engine carefully balances the poetry of floating movement with realistic momentum. When you engage in combat, your strikes generate shockwaves that physically react with the environment, blowing leaves off trees and sending enemies flying with satisfying weight. It is a stunning physical experience that shows just how far mobile gaming has come in 2026. So those were the top 10 open-world mobile games with insane physics. Now I want to know, which game impressed you the most? Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more game recommendations, and let us know in the comments which game are you most excited to try. Happy gaming!